Just deal with it. I think some people, because it wasn't on my earplugs. It actually, I was speaking through the microphone. So we will
Do
pick up
you
with the live chat.
do you want to post this link in your chat so they know that we're in here?
No, no, that's fine.
Okay, sounds good.
There they are. It's already. Oh, it already went out when I
Mhm.
accepted it. It posted a
Perfect.
link to everybody. But that's fine. I got to edit that episode though, so that we get to the part where it cuts off, and then I'll add an ending to it because that's frustrating. But sometimes it is not. It is not us. Sometimes it is the system.
Yeah.
Well.
Well,
Other
sorry
than
about.
that, everything's awesome.
Yeah. You said did you want to cover any other things before you wanted to go into questions?
Well, just I'm going to save the attacks for Lebanon till tomorrow, and the fighting that's going on in Kurdistan. Weird stuff is going on in Kurdistan. They're surrounded the villas, the PUK surrounded the villas of no, not the PUK, the KDP surrounded the villas of a group up there called the Helti tribe or Helti tribe, yeah. And these are a bunch of nomad farmer Kurds from the northeast Iran, Saudi, Iraq border. But see that tribe border area up there, that's the sort of place you would want to try to infiltrate across. Because no, you've got you can go into Turkey, you can go into Iran, you can go into Iraq, and I don't know what's going on with them, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's go to questions.
Okay.
Hold on, I just got to open up my question queue from Substack, and da 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 da. Why are they crying cast? We called it the Why Are They Crying cast because Trump kept insisting he couldn't understand why people were crying at that funeral. Yes, cats don't lie. I am not touching nothing. If these shows start and nothing's happening, I ain't touching nothing. I'm going to go hands off terminal like we do in the military, and we'll be back. So let's um, answer some questions here from Max. Assuming Netanyahu does come stateside to meet with Trump, what signals would you look for to determine or presuppose which direction things will head? If he's continuing to convince Trump to restart the war, I guess he means to continue the war, would shaping operations start before Bibi ever makes it back? No. These operations, which is military activities, moving from one place to the next, would not, military movements and positioning of troops would not take place during that. So they're not going to take place unless Trump and Netanyahu come to some decisions. This is for you. Cashflow Collective says, what would it take for Riyadh to reconsider its refusal of American base access? Direct Iranian tax on Saudi territory, strikes against energy infrastructure, or does the position hold firm as long as the war continues? What do you think, Wajeeh?
So the Riyadh to reconsider the refusal of the American bases access actually has already been reconsidered. The United States doesn't necessarily have or want to keep their planes at the moment in Saudi air bases because they're easy targets for the Iranians. The other thing is that the United States and Trump, when MBS put a lot of pressure on, well, you don't, no, we are not going to let you use our airspace, and put that Trump pressure to relieve one of those attacks that was going to escalate the whole war. Trump came back and clapped at the Saudi government and said, well, if you're not going to let us use your airspace or your bases, then we simply will not give you any of the missiles that you want to
Hmm.
protect yourself. And Saudis, while they are now looking for different allies, this is just making them realize more that they need to expedite the process of finding alternative security allies than the United States. Yesterday, Malcolm sent me a message while we were live, and I thought that was hilarious. And he said, "Did I tell you? And I'm like, oh shit, I need
Oh,
to check it out.
yeah. We didn't even report that this morning. All right, let's talk about that real quick now, and I'll mention it again tomorrow. There's a news report that not Qatar, the United States is in talks with Israel, and that will be addressed this week to move U.S. Central Command from Qatar to Israel, which we predicted on this show about 3, 4 months ago.
Mhm.
During the middle of the war, we said they're going to leave Qatar and they're going to go to Uvda Air Base in Israel. That was reported last night that Israel and the United States are going to be discussing moving U.S. Central Command to Israel for safety measures and because you don't have any Arabs around other than the locals, and the Israelis are handling them with regards to security and ballistic missile, other threats don't bring hell down on our Gulf state allies. So it actually will be a massive break with Qatar to move Central Command from Qatar to Israel, as predicted about a million times on this show.
You know my prediction?
What's that?
The Turks are gonna substitute the Centercom.
Oh no. You've mentioned that. I think the Turks will take over a lot of influence in the Gulf states. It would be easy for them to help Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, like that, the three weakest countries. And if they put open relations with Turkey in that respect, that would give Turkey a lot of throw weight in there, and it would guarantee the Iranians definitely won't attack them.
Well, that's the whole point. The reason the Qataris had the United States and they gave them one fourth of the country, literally one fourth of the country was a property of the United States as an Air Force base. And the whole point was to repel other Gulf states and neighboring countries like Iran from invading or attacking Qatar. Well, the
Mm.
United States failed in that directive. Who's the next best person that I'm close to and could deliver these without having to do much without having to do much begging or giving up so much of your resources? The
Right.
reason I'm thinking about Turkey is because they're already close to each other. They're both Sunni. They both have military alliances. They politically align with each other. The Muslim Brotherhood issues. The Al Jazeera Turkish mindset with Rajab Tayyip Erdogan. They're on the same page. In fact, Rajab Tayyip Erdogan and MBS don't have good relations, but Qatar and Turkey, when MBS did the blockade of Qatar, the people that stepped in to help Qatar were the Turks. So like there is precedent to why I believe the Turks would be there.
Mm. I see. That's interesting. So somebody made a joke that Jared Kushner would take the property over. No, but if I were Qatar and Central Command moves, it leaves you this massive airport. I would immediately nationalize it, which it is theirs, right? And instead of turning that into a military airport, I would do what they did with DXB, right? Which is create an international cargo hub to challenge the United Arab Emirates for Asia to Europe cargo flights. I would just say, hey, we're going to turn that into the biggest free trade cargo zone in the Eastern Hemisphere, because that base is big. And, it's not, I mean, you've got warehouses, you have all these things. So you turn it into an industrial zone, an aero cargo zone. And the United Arab Emirates right now has DXB, right? Dubai Cargo Airport, which is different from Dubai International Airport.
I mean, that's a good
Deny that?
hypothesis. That's a good hypothesis. The reason
I
I think
would
it's a good
shoot. Well, otherwise, you got a big giant air base there with nothing on it. You're not going to put your fighter planes on it. You may as well do something.
Well,
Tell us.
they're going to be struggling economically in the next few years, especially that some of their most important LNG production lines are going to be paused at least for 10 years. So
Yeah.
finding another source of income is definitely not is going to be on their to-do list. That's why I think your hypothesis has a good chance of happening, as well.
Yeah. Uh, Um, I'm reading Mark Schroeder's comment there about the paintings that are behind me. Uh, a reproduction of Goya's Gollum. It's Saturn eating his children. It's this giant thing with this child in his mouth. Not a child, but a man in his mouth. If you guys have ever seen that, been to Madrid, seen the painting. We're not going to do that actually, but this painting, if I do a subscriber chat, I will take you for a tour. That painting was done by a famous artist in Connecticut on a Sunday, and it's actually a rendition of the Good Samaritan. And it was done years before Barack Obama was president. But the Good Samaritan is a black man who looks like Barack Obama wearing a suit, and the person who was beaten and is riding a donkey and who he's buying a house or buying a room for is a fat white blonde guy who looks like Donald Trump. Just complete coincidence. And I never noticed it until after Trump got elected, and somebody goes, "Hey, that painting looks like Obama and Trump." Someday, I'll have to donate it to the Obama Presidential Library. That being said, well, Waja, I'm going to leave you to do your question and answer. I think we've answered enough for the day. And I'm going to
Thank
go
you.
out and once again work out in my garden, see if I trap that gopher. Uh,
What's
which,
your
if I,
favorite tree in your garden?
we have a giant Japanese cherry, but I won't. Yeah, that's probably my favorite tree because it does produce cherries, big, big
That's
cherries.
beautiful.
So
That's all.
we have an apple orchard. We have two ginormous apple trees in our front yard of our adjacent property and a giant pear tree. But in our orchard, we have three figs, six apple, two pear. And the reason we can't leave the pears up there, freaking deer come in there and they be eating everything. And my ring camera, my cameras that guard that park part of the house go off, and I go, let me guess, 10 p.m. deer are in the garden, and these are deer that are not. They don't care. They're baby deers. They don't care whether humans come out and shoot them. Hey, can you show me your shirt though? Where'd you get that awesome shirt made up? What is
I I
this?
I
Join the
sent you. I
revolution?
Yeah.
You didn't send me one.
What? Actually, I'm buying some for you, and I'm buying some for Jacob, and buying some more. There's a certain way I have to order it to buy it at cost, but I sent you the link so you can do your own t-shirt designs. And especially that you have more than 10,000 subscribers,
Mhm.
you get special privileges that you get more access to higher quality products. And then when you design a product, they send you samples without you having to buy them. So you
Okay,
get to like wear.
send me a link. They designed that for you.
Yes, and it's made by a human. It's not made by AI, and you get to revise it, several with them. And I'm designing another one in the process, so there's
Yeah.
another one coming up.
That is a nice shirt. I'm really jealous. Okay, let me drop out. Take care, guys. Enjoy your time with Watch. Answer his questions. Buy his awesome ass shirt. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye
See you. I'll get you one.
bye. All right.
Well, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, and all between the binary, this is Get Informed with Wajeeh. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was your Q&A with Malcolm Nance and me. As you are getting here, I want to let you know that we have a very important special coming up later today. It will be 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where we will have an award-winning international journalist, Deborah Amos. She is a veteran NPR international news correspondent specialized in Middle Eastern relations, human rights violations, and much more. She used to be a professor at Columbia University, and today she is a professor at Princeton, a heavyweight champion when it comes to the news and when it comes to educating people on how to become news reporters. We will be discussing few topics: the U.S. war in Iran. We will be discussing the U.S. Middle Eastern relations, especially with the Gulf states. We'll be talking about Jamal Khashoggi execution. He is a friend or was a friend of Deborah Amos before he was executed. And last but not least, if you are someone that is struggling to navigate through the news, if you are someone that has been struggling to fact check your information, if you're looking for better ways to find the sources of knowledge where you can become your own investigative reporter, then you must tune in because at the end of the show, we will hold a short practice or something like educational section where you will learn some basics on how to be a better citizen journalist so you can navigate through the headlines, navigate through different sources, and find the information that you need without having to be fooled by the right or by the left. So if this is something that you are interested in, make sure you go into my profile. It is going to be, I'm going to re-share it. So it would be on the top. All right. I just restacked it. So if you haven't put it on your calendar, you'll be able to put it on your calendar. In the meantime, I will change the setting on my phone where I only will see questions. I will not be able to see any of your comments, and I will bring this much closer. So I have a chance to read your questions. Is it 11 a.m. Eastern time? Yes, it is Eastern time. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. Deborah Amos is in New Jersey. So, yeah, I believe New Jersey. Princeton is in New Jersey, isn't it? I thought so. Anyways, make sure to tune in. We will be answering your questions. And here now I can scroll up. Wajeeh, talk about tomorrow. What about tomorrow? It's today. What are you talking about tomorrow? The the interview with Deborah Amos is today. If you think about something else, maybe tell me, say it again. Tell me what you're thinking about tomorrow. Maybe I'm too focused on today. How is our supreme leader going to meet BBC in DC? I don't know. Maybe they will meet in the kindergarten because I think they will have a bad fight. Maybe they will have the White House evacuated as well. So no drama. No one. Or maybe Trump likes that type of drama. He wants the news to be like, oh, Trump showed Bibi what's up. He told him one, two, three, four. He's a very strong president. Which he is Khomeini alive? He did not attend his father's funeral. Well, my friend, you touch on a very important subject. If you have not read my article from yesterday, you definitely missed out. Yesterday, I published an article talking about the phantom super leader. What is the situation in Iran? Why haven't we seen the supreme leader? He did not show up to his father's funeral on the first day. And the head of the military IRGC did a power move and showed up to the supreme leader's funeral. Meanwhile, today we see that the three of the Khamenei kids showed up to his funeral. Meanwhile, Mustafa Khomeini, Khamenei, he did not show up. Now, this is going to be a problem because according to the Shia Iranian rules, Khamenei, the supreme leader, has to lead the prayer before the prayer of funeral before the barrier has to be led by a supreme leader if the person being buried is a supreme leader. Well, this is going to be the biggest test for Supreme Leader Khamenei. Wajeeh, what the fuck are you talking about? Why is it important in 5 days? The Supreme Leader shows up and leads the prayer. Well, if he doesn't show up, that means the person that's running the country is either dead or hostage. What do you mean he's dead or hostage? He's either incapacitated, not able to run a country. He's either dead or the military is holding him hostage and using him as a rubber band stamp. If that's true, the United States is going to think twice before approving the $300 billion release fund to rebuild Iran, because at that point, they don't know who they're talking to. Not justifying the U.S. standpoint, I'm just throwing game theory on the ground. So, will the new supreme leader show up for his father's funeral on the last day? Or will the image of these new authoritarian, not authoritarian, autocracy, not autocracy, autocracy? Autocracy, yes, autocracy is a religion. Autocracy, I believe, yeah. Theocracy. The theocratic Iranian regime is not going to work very well without the supreme leader in power, or the supreme leader showing up and saying that he's alive. Now, Iran at this point has a few options. They either don't do anything and hope that everything calms down. They either make it only through visual, meaning no one will be attending in person except the close circle of the military or whatever, and it'll be a secret location. And in the video, they'll have enhanced AI, or they'll build their own visual of Ayatollah, not Ayatollah, I mean Mushtaba Khomeini, and the Mushtaba would be in the video almost look like real, and then you would have to take that video and do rigorous AI checking and to check if actually this is video real, authentic or not. That's one of the options that would happen. The other thing that they could do is just get a body double. Technology is there, and it's one of the oldest tricks in human history. So those are three options that could happen unless he's really alive, but we haven't seen any evidence of that. There is a lot of talk about whether he's still alive or not, because since he was appointed, there has not been a single evidence that he's still alive. So how do you expect him, or how do you expect the people to believe in a theocracy when it's run by a dictatorship? the military, if there is a coup. I hope that's starting to make sense. Let me see if there's any. Will Qatar demand their jet back? No, they gave it to Trump, and the jet has already been turned into Air Force One for Trump. And the jet is worth like $400 million. The U.S. government spent another 900 million dollars to make it fortified, and then it will be in use for the president until he finishes office, and then the president will gift it to his own library on his way out, so he can keep this new presidential plane um, as his own when he is done with the being a president. You know, our supreme leader is very smart with corruption. God bless his soul. Extend his life and give him. We know he's very powerful. We know he's very beautiful. Has the best hair in the world. You know, we just want you to leave us alone. Really. Wallahi. I just answered Khomeini's son. What is the relationship between Lebanon and Turkey? The Lebanon-Turkey relationship is not that deep, but you could say that every country in the world almost has a hand in Lebanon. That's why it's almost a failed state. Why wasn't it treason for every lawmaker that voted to merge cybersecurity with the blue and white country? You know, that's a good question. You're talking about Section 219 and Section 1417, where the U.S. Is giving up its sovereign powers and sovereign rights to break down the checks and balances and the choice of when to join Israeli attacks, to allowing Israeli government to have full access to our intelligence agencies, full access to our funding without checks and balances, not being able to be investigated, fully merging the intelligence agencies of the United States and the Israeli government. The United States is hoping to get AI technology and quantum computer technology that hasn't shown to be working efficiently. The reality of the situation is the Israeli government is using this AI technology and quantum computing to attack the people in Gaza and attack the people in Lebanon. And so far, the civilian casualty is high. I have few fears from this situation. One of them is the human rights violations the United States would become legally responsible for because they would be part of these Israeli attacks that are happening, and they would be using a technology that has been resulting in human life casualties. Let me remind you that the school that we have attacked, killing more than 90 kids in Iran, was made by an AI decision and did not have any human fact checking or any additional uh, uh, reviews. So this is one of the things. The other thing is that currently the United States gets to choose if they want to hold back any weapons or technology or funding from Israel as a card to force Israeli government to do whatever they want. This Section 219 and Section 1417 would take that away. So we wouldn't be able to choose when we want to give Israel weapons or when we want to give them. They just take whatever they want whenever they want without us having a say. Like it's genuinely you giving up power to the Israelis. And guess what? It's not just the Republicans supporting this, it's also Democrats. Today I wrote an article about why the Democrats are not winning anymore. Why the Democratic elites have been causing problems. why liberalism has been failing, because we handed it to the corporate class and to the 1% and to the powerful. You may not agree with everything that's said on there, but there is very important few points that need to be known. And the reality is, liberalism, first of all, started to make change, to give more power to the weak, to make sure that the income inequality changes. And slowly but surely, we have handed these principles to corporations and to companies and stood aside watching as these principles get diluted, and we are sitting aside letting everything happen. We need some. The reason that democratic socialists are winning and far right members are winning is because Americans are tired of seeing uh, the 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 establishment be betraying everyone else, whether these are people we support or these people we don't support. The reality is that anyone that is from the far right looks to Republicans as an outsider who is trying to drain the swamp, and everyone who's a democratic socialist look like a, to the Democrats and to moderates, also to moderates for the far right as well, and on the Republicans. All of a sudden, you'll see them looking at the socialists as democratic socialists, and as far right as the ones who are going to be attacking the 1% and bringing change. We saw Mamdani get elected. We saw another Democratic Socialist get elected. Bernie Sanders is very popular for that exact reason. So, what is the solution? The solution is we need Democrats that are not paid and owned by the 1%. We need people who rethink the culture war and focus on the class war. I go in detail. You might have been getting tired of me talking about it on my podcast, how we need to focus on the class war. This would really put things into perspective. You may not agree with everything on it, but it would put things into perspective. Did you know that the United States has something very interesting? Let me find it here. In fact, I recommend you taking a look at it because it will not make sense to you until you see it in writing. Because I heard it, I used text to speech software to help me do reading. And when I heard it, it didn't make sense. I had to pause it and I had to go back and repeat it while I'm looking at it. Let me tell you this, from 2000 to 2022, across the United States, student enrollment increased by 5% and teaching staff grew by 10%. Meanwhile, the same, there has been something totally different in number of total administration staff hiring. Let me repeat, 5% increase in student enrollment, 10% increase in hiring of teachers, 95% increase in administration staff. Well, there is a waste of resources, but Democrats keep coming to us saying, oh, we need more money to fund these projects. They give the money. And guess what? They don't spend it on us. They spend it on stupid shit. We need to talk about that. We're electing people that are not spending the money on the right things. What do you mean you're spending 95% of that money on hiring more staff? Can't you build better infrastructure for them? Can you give them better programs? Can't you do other shit? What do you mean 95% increase in administration staff when you have only 5% increase in student and 10% increase? And guess what? Student teacher wages go down and administration staff wages go up. That's under liberals. Tell me liberals are not part of the problem. Those are establishment liberals who are interested in supporting the percent and interested in keeping the status quo. These motherfuckers need to get kicked out. So go read the article once this is done. What is the relief? I already read that. Is OPEC dead? OPEC is under a tremendous stress at the moment. UAE has left OPEC. The Iraqis are threatening to leave OPEC. Uh, we might be looking at the decline of OPEC unless the Saudis and the rest of the members do something really to save the country. No, not save the cartel, oil cartel. Why wasn't it treason for every lawmaker that voted? So I already talked about that. How do you use 4 trees worth of apple? That's a good question. That was from Malcolm. How do you repeal the deer? That's a good question for Malcolm. 11 time Eastern time. Yes, I already answered that. So are we going to just stay on here for Deborah Amo? No, I'm going to end this and then there will be another podcast starting up and about I think an hour or so, 2 hours. I need to go back. Yeah, in 2 hours and 30 minutes. RG could have him as a hostage. Do you think that's likely? It's one of the options. I'm not saying it's definitive. I'm saying it's one of the hypotheses out there. I just pointed out a few hypotheses. Pointing out only one hypothesis sometimes is not fair because there could be multiple options happening at the same, like at the same time or not happening at the same time. But being able to say, I expect this or this or this or that is being realistic about the fact that different factions have different interests or different uh, or there are still not misinformation, there are not enough facts that could give us enough details to determine one hypothesis. So if there is not enough facts to determine one or two hypotheses, then you'll end up having to have more based on the information that you have. Theocracy. Yeah, sometimes I get confused by when I'm typing, I always look up the definition of words. It's easy to do that, and then you make sure that you have all the correct. But when you're talking on public like this, I always have to go back and remind myself what each word means. But I meant theocracy. I forget sometimes, especially that I don't have enough coffee. I'm done with the coffee this morning. Mexico fans, how are the education expenditure specifically only associated with education specifically directed back to the rebels and not a greedy group who want to be reelected? Well, that's the whole point of mentioning the establishment, isn't it? The greedy group is in the right and is in the left. And as long as we don't have these people faced And as long as these people are not constantly checked in, our liberal elites are not going to have our best interest. The liberal elites only cares about the elite. Assuming otherwise is like acting like rich people care about the rest of the poor people. It's the reality. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you supported a governor here or there, or supported a candidate here or there with a big money, a lot of times these candidates betray the rest of the people that voted for them by giving them access to. Let me give you an idea. Have you heard of a DMV in your state that's licensed out to private companies? Yes. It's in Missouri, it's in Kansas, it's in different states where if you helped elect a governor will give you a favor and will lease out a DMV where you as a private company is giving a governmental service. Same thing with our prison system. Same thing with our education. Same thing. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, they're all doing it. So the point is, I'm talking a point about and directing the point to the liberals at this point because we keep pointing out all the Republicans ones, but we need to take a second. Why are we failing? Why are the liberals fucking up? Why are we going forward? Why is it every time we put a Democrat in office, nothing happens? We have to ask our questions. These are important questions, or otherwise, you're just going to be disappointed every time you lose the election. How do you want to face your issues? How do you want to face the next election without confronting the hard, important questions that none of you want to answer? I'm talking about our elected representatives. Oh, we're going to get you guys free lunch for students. You elect him for office 6 months in. What happened to the school lunches? Oh, well, we try to do something about it, but you see what happened is, motherfucker, every time, every time. This is not the Mamdani support or anything. Meanwhile, Mamdani gets in office and he presses the button. Oh, yeah, we're taxing the rich. All of a sudden, the state of New York is like, hold on, hold on, hold on. Please don't. You're going to fuck up our income. You're going to fuck up this and that. Oh, please hold on. I don't give a fuck. Tax is coming up, whether you like it or not. The whole state is having to figure out how to deal with it now. Because one guy finally said, enough is enough. That's exactly what the people want, whether you're on the right or the left. They want the swamp drained. There's also an interesting study in there. Is that depending on which side of the aisle you are on, you both somehow think about the economy different. We stopped thinking about the economy should dictate our politics and started using the exact opposite, where we started dictating our economy based on what politics we want. You're wondering, like, what do you mean, Wajeeh? This is what I mean. You keep hearing me talking as income inequality increases, political polarization increases. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The study has shown is that two neighbors in the exact same neighborhood, one on the right, one on the left, depending on the president who's in office, will tell you whether companies are hiring or firing. If a Republican is in office, Democrats will tell you, oh, they're firing. And the Republicans say, oh, they're hiring. And the exact opposite happens. If a Democrat is in office, the Democrat, oh, we're hiring. It became like if you are a liberal, you have to cheerlead, like you have to be a cheerleader for everyone that's elected as a liberal. Since when is it your job to cheerlead for the person that was elected in office. It is the person's job that's elected in office to be your cheerleader. It's the other way around. Everyone has to take responsibility. No, we love Trump. No, we love Biden. No, we love Obama. Habibi, it's not your job to love them. You see something wrong, you point it out, you call it out. You see Obama siding with corporations, not siding with the people, you call them out on it. You don't want establishment to be getting comfortable. Then getting comfortable is the exact reason why we're in the situation that we're in today. The thing I'm pointing out here is why people believe the president that's elected is the president that has their best interest and think that the other president always has the issue is because regardless of what president is in office, Republican or Democrat, everyone that's been elected recently are all people who only care about the 1%. What does that leave? You and me. Me blaming you and you blaming me. Get it? Do you understand now? Does it make a sense? Why do we need to hold the Democratic elite responsible? Why the Democratic elite or the liberal elite also want corporations to have their own power? We need people like Bernie Sanders. Yes, we do. Bernie Sanders is a populist. He's someone that has been standing about draining the swamp since the first day he ran for office. He has not changed any of his idea. He's a no war president, voted against every single goddamn war that he had a chance to vote for. He is someone that has been talking about improving the US economy since he was elected. He's someone that has been focused about the working class and the union since he's gotten elected. He's someone that is not willing to take any donations from the corporate elite since he's gotten elected. That is what we need in office. Guess what? Democrats that were going to, independents who were going to vote for Bernie Sanders, once you Democratic elite chose that he's too hard right, too crazy for you because he's gonna cut the corporate, the Democrats keep voting him out. Who's the Democrat? The Democratic elite. That's why we lost the election. I believe that's why we lost the election. Ah, how did your action go in Minneapolis yesterday? The action was beautiful yesterday. We held a funeral for the 50 people who were killed under ICE custody right in front of the DOJ. There was a team of musicians. It was held by Sunrise Movement and many other organizations that wanted to make a difference. I figured there is no better way of celebrating 250th birthday of the United States than joining a rally, joining a protest, and practicing my First Right Amendment, freedom of speech. And it was beautiful. It was good exercise as well. Speaking of, you reminded me. I need to figure out where my one of my so I have Whoop, like one of those exercise devices, and I didn't take it with me to the protest. So the exercise from my protest did not count. They need to do the whole protest, reorganize it again, so my Whoop would count it this time. I'm very disappointed. They did not make sure that I was wearing my exercise bandana. So it's like if you don't film something, it doesn't count anymore. Did you hear that Bibi says about 6 months ago that Israel was about 10 years away from uh, decoupling from the U.S. financially. What do you mean decoupling from the U.S. financially? After they stole all of the U.S. economy? I don't know if you know how many billions of dollars we have given Israel in the years that we have known them. If they want to decouple, they should decouple now. What is the main question? What is the main what? I'm not understanding. Who is we? We American people. We the liberals. We the Democrat. We the people. I'm not an elected official. We're talking about liberals that are not holding other liberals accountable. We're talking about liberals that are standing aside as the liberal elite, taking advantage of the name liberal, Democrat. You've been too quiet. Did you see your income increase under liberal leadership while that liberal leadership is considered an elitist? No, they're not feeling your struggle. They're disconnected from reality. When listen, I would have voted for Kamala Harris. But the necklace Kamala Harris was wearing was worth more than $50,000, right? The necklace was a Tiffany necklace worth more than $50,000. What kind of senseless feeling is that? You running for office during an economy where everyone is struggling and you're wearing a goddamn $50,000 plus necklace. I know I grew up rich. I know I can tell what is expensive, Habibi. I can tell you what it is from far away, too. As soon as I saw the necklace, I'm like, oh shit, Republicans are about to say something about that. Next day, what's the gay guy that cheated the New Yorkers and ran for office? What's his name? The Republican guy. If you remember his name, say his name. Next day, the gay Republican, Santos. Santos comes out and posts, look, Harris is wearing $50,000 necklace. Yes, that's that makes us look bad. Meanwhile, we were giving we were giving we were giving Mamdani's wife hard time for wearing a piece of shoes that's wearing $1,000. That's cost $1,000. You know, I don't know if you know, but a piece of shoe now, a cheap piece of shoe that should last you maybe that's not meant to. So there's different levels of shoes. Ask someone like me. There is the basic Nike shoe that you are supposed to wear a little bit and throw it away. And then there is crafted, tailored shoes. And that is the highest one, in my own opinion. And the one before that is shoes that are designed to last longer. Welted shoes, shoes made by hand with the old techniques, well built. There's certain ways to build a shoe. A work boot, a work boot costs from $800 to $1,000. A good work boot, so you don't get your feet fucked up if something drops on it. Something that's supposed to stand pressure makes it easier for your foot. From $800 to $1,000. Motherfucker, Kamala Harris wearing $50,000, and we're giving his wife hard time for wearing a piece of shoe that costs $1,000. Any shoes that I want to get for dressing, if I want to get the welted one, minimum is $1,000. You're talking about getting custom stuff and shit. We're giving. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm not like I'm not. I'm not here to vote for Mamdani or support his family or nominate him. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to point out the reality. The reality is Mamdani is a populist. The reality is Mamdani is not flashy. The reality is Mamdani is a refugee. Mamdani is an everyday person. Mamdani comes from a working family. He understands the struggles of the people. Therefore, people related to him. They voted for him. You think majority of New Yorkers are rich? Majority of New Yorkers are struggling. According to urban economics, rich people live in the suburbs and poor people live in the city. The reason for that is because poor people don't have the time or the money to travel from the suburbs into the city. So they use modern transports or they use buses, they use trains, they use taxis, they use Uber, they use the scooter to get from one place to another. That's because majority of people do not have the capital or the money or to be rich enough to go from the suburbs to the city. Services in the suburbs, education in the suburbs, always way better than the city. Quality of living in the suburbs in the United States, always better than the city. But if you're in New York, you have a car, not only you have to travel from the suburbs into the city, the car parking rental spot is about 200, 300, $400 depending on where you're at. Just a car rent to find a place to rent your car to park your car every month in the city. Well, it's way more expensive to park your car. It's way more expensive to do here that. Halas, it's cheaper for me to have no car. So it's cheaper for me to live inside the city. Get it? Rich people can afford to live outside the city. They can afford a house there. They can afford to travel. They can afford to pay rent for the car. They can do a lot of shit. So having governmental services inside New York City that would give people free access to the trains, free access to transport, giving people access to K to 12 education, kids, that is going to put money back in the economy. Let me tell you why. If you are a parent and you have to work or you have to stay home and take care of your baby, you don't have mother-in-law, you don't have a husband, you don't have a mother, you don't have anyone else to take care of your baby. Are you going to be making more money, paying more taxes? Or are you going to be staying at home, wasting more resources? The government provides daycare for these kids. These parents can at least make some money, put some back into the economy. Capitalism. I don't know who ever told you that socialist services never was part of capitalism. The biggest socialist service you have in the United States is the military. Ah, military is a socialist thing. It's not a capitalistic thing. We have corruption in the United States where people who left the Pentagon opened their own companies and all of a sudden we're charging 10 times, 40 times, 100 times more the prices that we're supposed to and wasting all the Pentagon money because it's a black hole. I think the US government needs to have its own production companies that make their own weapons, that make their own military tools, that make their own tanks, that makes the planes, the jets. These things shouldn't be private companies. Why are they all private companies? because that's the American Achilles heel. When I was at Kansas State University, we were lucky that we had a professor that wasn't just a US diplomat to Russia, but he was also he had a high rank as a Navy SEAL. He was a captain. I forgot, a general. He was something big, and he set up a dinner that happens multiple times a semester. And that dinner wasn't mostly for students. That was only for faculty, staff, and high personnel living in Manhattan and the military base, because we had the fourth largest military base in Fort Riley. But because I'm bougie and because I always make friends with faculty and staff, I was able to get access to these dinners, and I was one of the students that was getting the constant invite, and I was undergrad. I was the only undergrad student showing up to these dinners. The people that were showing up were former Democrat, the former diplomats, former advisors to the presidents, former military intelligence people who are considered the top of their field, top consultants, and several of them who specialize in U.S. intelligence and specialize in Russian American relations and so on and so forth, said that the Russian strategy to defeat the American military is to make the American military outspend itself to the point where it goes bankrupt. Since the Cold War, this is not my opinion. This is the opinion of American professional diplomats and security advisors. So when I look at the military, I see one of the fiercest military in the world, but it shows in this war in particular, the war of attrition with Iran, it showed how weak it is when it has to overspend on every particular product. Even Lucas, who's supposed to be the drone that competes with the cheap American drone that is owned by the company that is uh, two sons of one of the sons or someone else from the Trump family. They own this company that produced Lucas, and essentially Lucas took the Shaheed drone and repeated the same thing but American. And yet that device is more expensive than the Shaheed drone still. So the United States has missiles that are supposed to intercept these Shaheed drones. Most expensive Shaheed drone is about $50,000. Yet for every $50,000 Shaheed drone, Gulf states were sending four anti-surface missiles. Each of them cost $2 million. The United States was doing something similar. I don't know about four, but they were doing something similar. They were shooting each missile they were shooting at that drone cost the United States $2 million. Now, if you're doing math, you think the United States can keep up? No. Then the United States really needs to stand back and rethink its relationship with its military complex, industrial production companies. They really need to do that. At this point, it's a matter of national security. Just like public schools are fucking wasting our money when we have 5% increase in students and we have 10% increase in hiring teachers, yet we're hiring 95% increase in faculty staff that have nothing to do with teaching. Administrative staff, I mean. The same exact problem. Waste of money. So when someone comes out from the far right and goes, yes, we have a lot of money being wasted, but that money being wasted, the Democrats are responsible for. The Democrats come out, look at all the money that's being wasted by the Republicans. They're both right because the elites from the Democrats are stealing and the elites from the Republicans are also stealing. Corruption is there. All right. We have to go live with Deborah Amos. I'll see you guys in a minute. Hold on. I can't believe. No, it's in 1 more hour. Wait, what time did I schedule it? No, there must be something wrong. Let me message Deborah. My stupid ass scheduled this 12 p.m. my time. Let me reach out to her to see if she's available right now. Scheduled the live stream at a wrong time, but I'm willing to go now if you're ready. Or we can go in 2 hours. Let me wait to hear what she has to say. Yalla. Oh, she's responding. You want to go now or in 2 hours? Now, okay. I'll end this and we're going to start with Deborah Amos.